All right, welcome back to the Starfighter podcast with Dom and Jake. It's an exciting episode, and of course, we're back from taking quite the break, but we're back and we're ready to talk about Mandalorian season 3, episode 1. I'm super excited about it. Jake, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm excited, man. You know, it was a good lead up episode. I'm ready to see what they do with the rest of the series, so jazzed up.
Yeah, same here. And you know what? We have a really cool, exciting guest to bring on, first time guest. Before we do that, guys, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. And of course, whether it's here live for our episode or on the replay, definitely leave us a comment in the chat. Let us know how you like this episode, or if you have any special theories, fun theories, you can let us know. Any questions, all that stuff. All right, let's bring on our guest. All right, Micha, welcome
Hello.
to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great.
Great. Thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Micah and I became friends. Well, we became better friends not too long ago, and we had dinner together, and we got into a little backstory. We got into some Star Wars conversation, and like right away, I knew I had to get this guy on the podcast. I just had to make it happen. So again, good to have you here. I'm excited for us to talk about episode 1 of Mandalorian. Why don't we start with you, Micah? How have you liked the series as a whole so far? Like especially season 2, and what's like been your anticipation for this new season?
Oh man. To be honest, I forgot there were 2 seasons. I thought this was the second season. I don't know. The first 2, they just meshed together so nicely and they just flew by. But I've been enjoying it a lot so far. But I just finished Andor, so
oh nice.
I loved that, which I don't know. It sets the bar high, you know. So I don't know. That's more like a heavy drama, you know. But
Yeah.
Mandalorian, I don't know. It's just fun, you know. Eat your popcorn and enjoy it. It's not as heavy as Andor, which is fine.
Right. But it's that space western that I think everyone fell in love with in the beginning. You know, just has a classic feel to it. And
especially with the music as well, they're bringing that back as well. You know, that Mandalorian song with the little, you know. Well.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys ever watch Christian Harloff, but I've been following him for a long time. He recently had Katie Sackhoff on his show a couple of days ago, who plays Bo-Katan, who's one of my favorite characters.
Way.
Yeah, it's really cool. They've got like a cool backstory, the two of them. But she was saying how, you know, Mandalorian is just a show that like it's just for everyone, and you don't even have to be a Star Wars fan to enjoy it. And I think that's kind of why it works so well too, is because and why it has that classic feel to it as well, because I mean, in the beginning no one was Star Wars fans because it was brand new, and so like they're kind of able to capture that like original nostalgia, I feel like, you know what I mean? So yeah, really love this series, and I've been super excited for season 3. Jake and I kind of talked a little bit about some theories that we had, but yeah, why don't we get into our breakdown here, our review, and then I'm sure towards the end of our review we'll talk about our theories going forward. Jake, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about like the intro, where we have the armor building again, and then I mean, I thought this intro scene was really cool, but what were your thoughts?
Yeah, it was really interesting. So a lot of who they show in this opening sequence are different clans of the Mandalorians. If you notice, they have different flags they're waving in this opening sequence. So it's good to see that there's still quite a few clans that are willing and able to join together, especially for this. I know a lot of people are relating this opening sequence to Christian beliefs and traditions, being baptized, and that's why he's in the water. Also, it's very strange the crystal that they actually show, the writing on it, is from Exodus and has to do with the locusts invading Egypt. So, little Easter egg for you guys. So there is some biblical text in this, but it's hidden in the crystal. That was very interesting.
Cool Easter egg.
Yeah, cool little Easter egg. But I enjoyed it. A little repetitive, maybe, since if you guys watched Book of Boba Fett, they kind of went through this. This is basically like almost a word for word verbatim of what was said in Book of Boba Fett. So little repetitive, but I'll take it. I enjoyed that big crocodile. It kind of made me feel like I was watching that one movie with The Rock that was based off that video game, Rampage. So, but it was it was interesting. I kind of didn't like how the Mandalorian started trying to shoot it and like grappling it. I thought that was a very foolish mistake, and a couple of them died. I was like, I don't know, you're not gonna hold back this like 20,000-pound alligator that's about to destroy you guys, but you know, it was cool. I enjoyed it. It was exciting. I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts on this. Did you guys think this was a flashback to Din Djarin when you first watched it?
At first, yeah, I did. What about you, Micah?
Nah. I figured it was.
Yeah, you never thought it.
Current.
You never thought it was him as a kid.
Never occurred to me, but I was just with it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't think very much.
Because I mean, they've showed him a couple times, like flashbacks to him as a kid, as a foundling. So, yeah,
that's true.
Did you guys like the kid actor at all? Because he kept kind of taking me out of the scene. If I don't want to be too harsh on children actors, but I was like,
I feel like it's almost too. It like there's just so little, to critique too. You know, you only see him for a few seconds.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know much about the Mandalorians. I didn't realize that they put him in the armor so soon. But
yeah. And yeah, you want to go, Micah?
I thought he was a bit corny. I don't know. I wonder if he'll come back because they gave him an awful lot of screen time.
So the theory is
he has the face for it, though. I guess.
No, not the voice.
That's why he's got a helmet.
Oh, the voice.
I thought he didn't have the voice for it. Yeah. Supposedly that's actually that other guy's son or nephew, the guy that fought Din Djarin in Book of Boba Fett, the big guy that was standing there.
Yeah.
Vizsla.
That's why Vizsla. Yeah, that's why he was so proud of him, and that's why he pushed him out of the way when he came and swooped in and started.
He also
shooting.
has the same color helmet, so I was kind of thinking that they are related in some way.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, since you brought him up, and Micah, I don't know if you know this, but me and Jake are pretty caught up on Clone Wars and Rebels, so we might throw in some callbacks to that. But so, Jon Favreau's character, who is the like the heavy artillery Mando, the blue one that he fought in Book of Boba. So he's a descendant of Tar Vizsla, who is the very first Mandalorian Jedi, and that's where the Darksaber comes from. And that's explained in Clone Wars. But yeah, so he's kind of a descendant, and so he has like some history with the Darksaber. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So pretty cool.
Yeah.
What?
I've only seen bits and pieces of Clone Wars. Yeah. Which, speaking of which, when Mace Windu, or no, not Mace Windu, Darth Maul, when he invaded Mandalorian or Mandaluria.
Mandalore.
Just Mandalore. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. He started a following there amongst the Mandalorians, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Didn't they have horns in their helmets him?
Yep, that's a great arc.
Isn't So would that mean that the blacksmith or the smith
The armor.
was
Yeah.
one of her? Yeah, the armorer was
She
she one of those followers?
most likely
Yeah.
not.
Most
What?
likely, yes.
Most
John
likely,
doesn't know what
Oh
he's
yes.
god.
talking about.
Oh,
Most likely,
Doesn't know what
debate.
yes.
he's talking about.
I
We're about
definitely
to have
know
a
what you're
civil
talking
war
about.
on the channel here, you know?
Well, you know what? I've been thinking about it more. I really want them to like explain it a little bit better. Um, if there is like a clear distinction between Death Watch and the Watch, which are also two different things. Well, yeah,
Are
which
they?
I believe they're different, and I also believe they're different than the like the clan that was with Darth Maul.
So the Death Watch have a different symbol as their house symbol. It's more of like a W that's on their body. So it's
Yeah.
they are different, but they come from basically the same house, if that makes any sense.
Because you know why I bring this up is because Bo-Katan refers to Din Djarin as a child of the Watch, right? But
Yes.
technically, she was part of Death Watch. She was like Pre-Vizsla's right-hand man, basically. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
And so she doesn't consider herself part of the Watch. So that's why I would assume that Death Watch and the Watch are different. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
They are, but they're not.
Unless she just broke away from it and like we're just not getting a clear explanation that she like disowned them. But I think what is clear is that, you know, Bo-Katan and like her group that we saw in season 2 are of a newer faction, a newer group of Mandalorian, and the Watch are an older faction who are trying to, you know, they're much more by the book, but also, you know, place like a lot of importance on certain rules that, you know, these other factions don't. The big one, which is, you know, not showing your face to any sentient beings, having your helmet on basically at all times. So that's, you know, for sure.
So what I've gathered is that they are separate, but they come from the same faction. At least in my mind, where the
Mm.
Watch is a little bit less, because Death Watch, what you're saying, invaded Mandalore with Maul, and followed him. They were a little bit more aggressive and wanted there to be a divide, where the Watch is more about inclusivity, and they don't want there to be a divide, but they want to follow the traditions of Mandalore. And so that's kind of where I'm getting like the division between Death Watch and the Watch is where they're a little bit more inclusive. They want to keep tradition, where Death Watch was way more aggressive and cared about tradition, but not as much if it like went against the mission objective, basically. So they were a little bit more totalitarian, the Death Watch, rather than the Watch. But the Death Watch holds on to their tradition and will exclude those Mandalorians that aren't part of that. If that
Right.
makes any sense.
Yeah, I think that's a good explanation for sure. Also, I think, well, it just came to mind too that like even though Death Watch were like, and we'll get back to our breakdown here in just a second. We're kind of going on a tangent, but it is kind of important, and I always tell people like it's really beneficial to watch Clone Wars in general, but especially like, you know, these really big arcs that have to do with Mandalorian. Like you're just going to benefit more from watching Mandalorian, just get more out of it with knowing like these backstories. But yeah, I just thought it's interesting too because so Death Watch was with Maul for a little bit, but they like Pre-Vizsla and Bo-Katan, they weren't like buddies with Darth Maul. They were trying to deceive him. Like they quickly realized that they didn't want to actually be like partners with him, and so, you know, they were trying to deceive him pretty much right off the bat.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, you guys want to get back to like the intro? Was there any more thoughts on the intro where kind of like this initiation, bringing this? Well, I don't know if he was a foundling exactly, but this young kid into the Mandalorian creed. Did you have any more thoughts on that? Either one of you?
I hope they got that one guy out. The one dude that got swallowed.
Oh no, he's done for, bro.
He's done.
There's no Zarlak pet for that guy. He just got eaten. He's done for. One of the other things I will say about this opening sequence is they do it. The first episode of each season is taking down some big animal that's just trying to live its life on its home planet. And Disney has this obsession with just killing these majestic creatures, and I don't know what it is, but they love doing it. So,
I mean, I think both of these looked cool, like the crate dragon and then this alligator thing. They both look really cool. Which did you guys like better?
Crate dragon.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It was also just a really cool callback to Knights of the Old Republic too.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so then Din Djarin swoops in with Grogu in the N1 Naboo starfighter, which, I mean, how cool is that? It's still really
one of the sickest ships in Star Wars now.
Yeah, and
always been
blows that thing up.
Now this is pod racing, okay? Let's
It
go,
really
fellas.
is. And so I feel like he kind of, maybe a part of him thought that because he like saved the day here, that he could go in there and talk to the armorer and be like, "What's up? I just helped you guys out quite a bit. Can you let me back into the club?" That sort of thing. And she's like, "No, it's not happening." Now, I think that this conversation is really interesting. And even though I haven't seen Bad Batch, the new episode this week, I have heard a little bit about the episode. Maybe we'll touch on just a tiny bit.
Excellent episode
of it.
Go watch it,
because I know that there's a theory going around with that new episode that will tie into this, or that could possibly tie into this, Jake. So maybe we'll touch on it. But it's this conversation surrounding Mandalore and how the armorer is talking about how the lake doesn't exist, right? He's trying to go back and bathe in the lake so he can atone for his sins, so he can be let back into the creed. And she's saying that basically the whole planet is poisoned from the purge and like the bombing and stuff. But so basically, I guess it's kind of newer information. The Empire had multiple planets where they had clones being made. There's multiple cloning facilities, different planets. And so this theory that's going around right now is that well, I mean, obviously Din Djarin believes that the lake is still there, right? It's a lake, right? That's what he called it. Or the water, whatever. The pool.
The living water, right?
There you go.
It's under the surface of Mandalore, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was the living water. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Is that what he called it?
I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
So anyways, he believes
not a
that
lake.
it's still there. He believes that it's still there because of that, piece, that crystal or whatever that he brought her. But so this theory going around is that everyone was kind of told that Mandalore has been poisoned, but really the Empire has hidden like a cloning facility there. You know what I'm saying? So I think that could be really interesting. Yeah, Star Wars Theory talked a little bit about this on his review.
I think it's a bunch of hoopla, but we'll let Star Wars Theory have his fun. And I'm not going to call him out, but
Oh, sometimes we will. Sometimes we will. He's not that great. But Jake, what do you think about this conversation between the two of them? And like, do you have any other theories of
between the armor and Din Djarin?
Yeah.
Nothing. I just thought it was repetitive. I thought I think that it would be foolish to say that there's a cloning facility there, just because some of the Mandalorian people, like Bo Katan, don't really believe that it's been poisoned. Like, I don't know. It's interesting, but I don't think that holds water, because if they're gonna have a cloning facility on that planet, I don't know. I can't get behind that. And if there is, like, that's gonna be a big twist for me. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Thoughts, Micah?
Yeah, basically what Jake said. I was like, why are you back? She already turned you down once, right?
Yeah.
Already got ostracized, so he's like double checking, I guess. Are you sure I'm kicked out of the club? Yeah.
All right, so we could probably move forward a little bit. I believe this is the part where they're traveling, right? Going through space, Jake. This next part.
Oh, it's my favorite part. Big implications in this next scene. Very small scene, big implications.
And okay, well, we'll get into it. So Din Djarin is talking to Grogu about, traveling, about being a Mandalorian. And Micah, I don't know if you know this Easter egg that we're about to talk about, but Jake, I know you're excited about it, so why don't you just break it down for us?
Space whales, okay? They're back. And we've only seen them in one other different offshoot of Star Wars, which is Rebels. And spoiler warning for those that haven't watched Rebels, it's where Ezra and Thrawn gets sucked up into, I don't even know where. People don't even know where. But they're gone. So they're flying through in hyperspeed, and they see the hyperspace whales float next to them. And you see Grogu kind of reach out of his window. And I think we've seen this in a couple of the more recent Star Wars films, especially, where there's a connection between Jedi and other living creatures, where they can sense what they're feeling, sense what they're seeing. It's more of a connection between these two beings. So we see Grogu kind of reach out and have a sense of these whales, maybe even where they've been. Maybe these whales have other connections to other whales in like the space universe, so they know, like a hive mind kind of mentality. So it's shared. And I think that Grogu reaches out and senses either Thrawn or Ezra, and he feels uncomfortable by this, and you see him kind of climb into the cockpit. It's really, really nice to see Grogu kind of he's not stuck back in this pod on the ship. He can go and hang out in the front part of the ship, and he snuggles with Din Djarin. And it made me think that maybe he had a sense that these space whales have a connection to maybe the other ones that have sent Thrawn into like another dimension or another part of space. And so he knows of an incoming danger, but just doesn't know how to deal with it right at this moment. And I thought that was really interesting. I didn't know how. That's how I initially took it, but I don't know how you guys took it.
And to kind of just shed a little more light on that for people who have no idea what you just said, because I mean, I do. Maybe Micah knows some of it. Maybe he knows all of it. I don't really know, but
yeah, I saw that part of Rebels.
Okay, great. Yeah. Perfect. So again, guys, go and watch some of the crucial moments of Clone Wars and Rebels. You're going to understand more about Mandalorian. You're going to understand more about these upcoming shows, especially Ahsoka. But basically, the space whales are tied to they're tied to Thrawn, he was from old canon, one of the biggest villains in Star Wars canon, who is now back in real canon. And these space whales are tied to him. They're tied to Ahsoka, and they're essentially how they're essentially how Ahsoka's story is going to weave into Mandalorian. It's kind of how Mandalorian and Ahsoka's story arcs are gonna like weave together basically through like the timelines is kind of what I understand.
Yeah. I could talk about this one scene for 30 minutes if we wanted to, but we're already 30 minutes into the show, so I'm trying not to. But yes. Yes. Yeah. So I don't know if we're going to get Ezra this season or even a mention of his name, but I definitely feel like we're going to get a Thrawn mention again because he's already been mentioned in season 2 of The Mandalorian with Ahsoka because that's her whole mission, like you just said. So I think that's coming hopefully on Disney Plus series. Obviously, it's not going to be a big part of anything in the future, so he's going to get defeated. Sorry, spoiler warning for everybody out there, but he's not in episodes 7, 8, or 9. So clearly something's going to happen. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they even save him for 10, 11, 12 because I know they're in works talking about new movies coming out. So maybe he's going to be the big bad. Instead of the Empire, it's going to be someone that was kind of following the Empire's rule, but also on their own kind of quest for conquer, So we'll see. But
nice.
I'd love to see Thrawn in live action. God, I'd love to see that.
Played by Benedict Cumberbatch.
Wait, is that the real casting?
That's a rumor.
No, but it's a rumor. I would love that. Man. He would be so good.
He would be perfect for that. Yeah. I mean, he was great as Thrawn. I mean, God, Khan. Thrawn and Kong.
From Khan to Thrawn, guys.
Yeah. Easy. Very similar characters.
It's an easy pick.
Cold, calculated.
Yeah. Just hell bent on like revenge, basically.
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh.
Give me a blue Benedict Cumberbatch, and I think it's going to unite the world, and we'll be okay.
Yeah, Smurf Benedict. We need it. We need to see it.
Oh, come on now! Can't be talking about Smurf Benedict, bro.
All right, we're moving on to Navarro 7. Micah, what did you think about us reuniting with Grief Karga here? In Navarro.
I was glad to see him. I like that guy. He's fun. But yeah, I guess he's on the come up.
Yeah, High Magistrate now. He wants everyone to know it.
Yeah.
And then he's got like those droids like carrying his cape behind him and everything.
I loved the little cape droids. what a miserable existence.
What a flex. What a flex.
I mean, shoot, you pay me enough money, I'll carry someone's cape. That sounds like a good life right there. A lot of hard work being done.
It's like the first shot, they're bouncing down the stairs.
Yeah, and it was cool to see. Obviously, we got to talk about the IG-11 statue, which I think it's an interesting choice, and I'm wondering how you guys feel about it. But I think it's inevitable that we're going to get him back in the show. Jake, what do you think about this?
I thought it was cool because we kind of saw his statue in season 2 of Mandalorian, but we didn't get like an up close and personal picture of it. We just kind of saw it in the background. I cried when that little guy went out and sacrificed himself. I was like, okay, because I don't think a lot of people understand too, like the timing of it and everything that's transpired in the years coming up to this. And he even says that this is the only droid that I trust is because, if you guys remember, episodes 1 through 3 was droid army and them just killing everybody. So, there's a reason why he only trusts this one droid. But I thought it was interesting.
Yeah,
for sure.
I just want to say, I'm sorry if I can. I just wanted to say, jumping off that they did really, execute that well, showing in the beginning of the series how Din was really, he was scared from like a young age of the droids, and they kind of showed like a different perspective like the separatists and the droid army. And that's why even as an adult he didn't trust any droids, and he kind of built up like a hatred against them. And so then like the progression of the story at the end of season 1, he's like he's formed an attachment to this droid who's like proven to not only take care of him, but like the only person he really cares about, which is Grogu.
Yeah. So, and that's one of the other things too, is they've talked about the time lapse. At least Jon Favreau has in interviews about like how Grogu was with Luke Skywalker for like a year and a half.
2 years. I was going to mention this. I was waiting to mention this, but this is like
you're gonna have 2
confirmed.
years.
This is confirmed. Yeah.
So I think that, I don't know. It's crazy to me that they even found those parts for him. First of all, guy was in a lava stream. I don't know how they got that out of I don't know how they got him out of that, but it was cool to see. I'm excited. Hopefully he comes back better than ever. But obviously next episode, maybe episode 3, he's going to be looking for that chip, the memory chip, to help him out. But yeah, very interesting. I hope he has a big role, because I miss that guy. Plus, he is the last kind of thing that I forget. What's his name? I have spoken. Whatever that guy's name is.
Quill.
What he touched.
Oh,
we might have lost Jake. We'll give him a minute to recover. We'll give him a minute to recover. Micah, what were your thoughts, on seeing IG-11 again? And
I was surprised. Yeah, I mean, not the statue, of course, but I was surprised that he was like, I want that droid back, because what are the odds you're going to get that thing back together? It would be cool to see him back. I feel like, the next episode, maybe 2 or next episodes, will definitely be like him trying to get that part. But I don't know. I feel like even if he does get the part, it's going to be a whole new memory chip. So it won't be the same like person, that robot, right? But who knows? The droids in Star Wars are just kind of like, I don't know, they're not really based on real physics. They're just kind of magical, hit it with a hammer, it works again, sort of. It's a droid,
right. And then we obviously get the call back to Rise of Skywalker, and you might have to remind me if you remember, but because we were talking before the show started, but you knew the species name of Babu Freak.
Anzelen.
Yeah,
I got it here.
Yeah. What do you guys think of them? What do you think, Micah? Did you like seeing them?
Great merch sale for sure.
Mm-hmm. It was good to see them back. I there was so much in Rise of Skywalker that I wish we got to see more of, because everything in that movie was only on screen for about 15 seconds before they were on to something new.
Yeah.
But no, I like the Anzelens. They seem cool.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, very interesting to see Grogu try to pick one up as a pet too. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's going to get him canceled. He assaulted that poor Anzillian.
I didn't want to say it, but you can't be grabbing up on people anymore these days. Okay.
Come on, Grogu. Bad form.
Gosh, darn it.
We also got to talk about this conflict, between Grief Karga and the pirates, and then of course we can also talk about the pirates chasing after Din as well. But again, we get those vibes from like the classic space western that is Star Wars, the origins, and with like this kind of western standoff between Grief and I believe his name is Vane, and then the other, like, his crew of pirates. Um, and I think it was just kind of cool too. Like, we're reminded that, like, Grief can kind of throw down too. Like, he's got, like, a lot of experience, and, like, Vane was kind of saying that he went soft, but clearly not. And also he showed, like, restraint too. Um, like he showed, like, discipline. He only shot him, like, in the hand. He could have he killed some of his other friends, and so did Din, but he could have killed him too, and, like, but he, like, let him go basically. So Jake, what do you think about this scene?
Yeah, foolish move. Clearly did not help out Din Djarin later in the episode, but
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. He's also, I don't know if you really want to get into it, kind of like looking for that new sheriff in town.
Right.
He tries to propose that he sets up shop and gets a piece of land and hangs up his blaster, on this plot of land that's close to the springs, hence out like another water source that he could bathe in to cleanse himself from his sins of the past. But he's trying to get him to stay. I thought it was cool. I mean, didn't make any sense to me that they wanted to go drink inside of a school. Like there's any alcohol in there for them to drink, or
well, you know what it was is that used to be the cantina.
I know.
Okay.
I get it.
All right.
I get it. The fact that it's a school and doesn't have alcohol in it.
They were just really set on going into that school.
He wanted to party with all like the 8-year-olds. And I was like, you gotta calm down. There's probably a bar down the street. You can probably hit up, man. But yeah, very interesting. And he tries calling him out too. He's like, dude, you used to pay us for doing a lot of bad things for you in this cantina, and now it's a school. And it's almost like again, it's very weird. There's a lot of different religious kind of indications in this where it's like a rebirth of this like sinful place that's now used for the youth to like gain education and become better people for the society. But before, it was used as this terrible place that would like ruin people. It's very interesting to see. It's almost like there's so much rebirth happening on this planet. So
yeah,
very cool.
In those 2 years, he like really turned things around for the whole planet.
So,
and then if you guys want to talk about it too, I thought it was a cool like little space battle too. The pirates going after Din as well, and then like meeting their captain, who I feel like he's kind of supposed to be like Davy Jones, right? Am I wrong?
I got those vibes immediately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have any other thoughts on that, Micah? Like on that scene?
Ooh, man. Anytime I see asteroids in Star Wars, I think about those sonic charges.
I thought that for some reason he might have. Wrong tip. Yeah.
I was always, just crossing my fingers. Man, I'd love to see some more sonic charges. Bow.
One of the coolest concepts in Star Wars, for sure.
I felt the same way. I thought he was going to pull some Obi-Wan maneuver and like be hanging on an asteroid.
Yeah,
they passed, but that didn't happen. So, but that would have been a nice callback.
Yeah,
if they did that.
He started sneaking around and flanking them somehow.
Yeah, like kind of guerrilla warfare, like John Wick, coming up and just messing them up. So
I feel like we haven't seen the last of these pirates, honestly.
Oh no, God no.
I think that they're still going to be chasing after him, and maybe Grief too.
Yeah.
I
said there's going to be at least 4 fronts, Dom.
4 what?
At least 4 fronts that Din Djarin's going to be facing off, and that's could be one of them.
Yeah. All right, what are we jumping to next? Is this when he now goes to you might have to remind me, Jake, but I think this is where he goes to meet Bo-Katan. Okay.
Yep.
So now we've got this Mandalorian castle, which is really cool, and we're in the Mandalore system. Can't remember the name of the planet exactly. It starts with a C or a K, but
It's just okay. Kalmala, I
yeah,
think it is.
yeah. So we're in the Mandalore system now, and this is the castle of the House of Kryze. So thought that was a cool callback to Rebels as well. Yeah. So Jake, what do you think about this?
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a bunch of hoopla what she was telling him, but we can get into that whole spoiler theory here in a second if you want. But I okay, I'm trying not to be a downer about the episode. A lot of it was a waste of my time. Same with him. Like, he honestly just went there to be told where to find the waters, you know, because they're under the planet, right? They're under the surface. And so she's like, go to the Civic, whatever. And that's where you're going to find the tunnels to get down to these waters, because that's basically all he wanted to know, even though he came and said, hey, like, I'm ready to join you, which is really weird. I think that's setting up a payoff that I said before we even did this on Saturday, where I said that she's going to betray him. And should I do a spoiler? Do I do a spoiler?
A spoiler of what?
Of telling you what's going to happen?
No, Jake likes to do this every time.
Dude, it came straight from the mouth of Pedro Pascal when they were doing all that
He
stuff.
reads into some stuff.
No. It came from his mouth. Okay, it came straight from his mouth, and
I don't know, Jake.
they tried shutting him up.
He says envelopes sometimes.
No. So Pedro Pascal says, "Oh, and then she's gonna do something to me later in the series. It's gonna throw all you guys off." And so everyone's like, "Oh, like, there's definitely a betrayal, and she's going after the saber." So for me,
I think we can all kind of assume that.
you can all assume that, but when he says it, you're like, "Okay, that's gonna happen
for sure."
But I think what she says, like, "Oh, all my forces like melted down," I think that's a bunch of hoopla. I think that has people out there that are still willing to like fight for her, that want the Mandalorian name, that she's like letting them go out and kind of do their own thing right now, where they're still in her back pocket, and it's going to be a civil war that's going to happen. That's not too civil. I'm just excited for it. I think that's going to happen probably around episodes 5 and 6. And I would just say buckle up, because we're going to get some nonsense we don't care about. And then it's going to ramp up by episode 4. And we're going to kind of see where we're at by episode 4.
I could definitely see that happening for sure. I still kind of want them to be on the same side, but you know, that would definitely make sense. Because Bo-Katan, you know, I wouldn't say that she's like a good character exactly. In fact, she was definitely more of a bad, you know, she's definitely more of an antagonist for a little while. And just like really hard-headed, and like you said before too, Jake, you know, Death Watch was they're really like extremists, you know. And just more hardcore. So I do think that she's gonna betray him. At that point, it would be really hard for me, like, who to root for, because she's become like one of my favorite characters in Star Wars because of Clone Wars. And I think that it might kind of have the audience split too, because especially the people that, you know, understand her background. Obviously, like the first episode that she's in Mandalorian season 2, it's called The Heiress, because she's the rightful heiress to the throne of Mandalore. Her sister Satine was the queen of Mandalore, and also known as Obi-Wan's girlfriend.
No, my girlfriend. Okay, Dom.
So yeah, I mean, I think it just makes sense that she's the one to rule Mandalore in the end, but I guess we'll see. Maybe they'll be able to, you know, work out their conflicts in the end. But I think you're probably right. Maybe it's something where, like, do you think that she's kind of tricking him into like catching him off guard, like when he goes to
100%.
like when he goes to the water?
100%. She knows Din Djarin's always out looking for like the next thing. He's always aware of his surroundings because he's had to be. He's been basically like a solo Mandalorian his whole life. Even though he's had this clan that he just got kicked out of, he's always been kind of a loner and a bounty hunter.
But
And
now
so
she's
he's
gonna catch him
always
taking a bath and just knock him upside the head and take the
and knock him
cigarette.
upside the head. So it's gonna be her following him. I think there's gonna be something where he gets there and trying to like get himself reinserted into like the Mandalorian watch party, right?
Take the plunge, yeah.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, so many things that she said were not cool. Like when she says goodbye, Mandalorian, like she's not happy with him, and she's coming,
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So, but I want to hear what Micah has to say before I get into craziness in my stuff.
Oh, man.
There's more craziness.
Oh, you have no idea. I got you, bro.
Oh boy.
That last scene, I was surprised that was the end. I was like, oh, it's over. Yeah, because I definitely thought he was going to Mandalore the next scene, but yeah, Bo-Katan was just kind of repeating a lot of stuff that we knew already, it felt like. But I could definitely see her being an antagonist later, maybe trying to double cross them, but maybe finding like a common enemy later in the season. Maybe, I don't know. I definitely agree with Jake that she's got connections still with the Mandalorians or her people, right? They're all loyal and stuff, but just in the meantime, while she doesn't have a plan yet, they're off, making a living, I guess. It would be cool to see her end up with the Darksaber somehow, but probably won't happen. I don't know.
I just love the tone of this season too, because it's just like so deep. Like these two, it's always kind of been about like what is a Mandalorian, who is he actually, and just like I guess finding himself, which sounds cheesy, but it's just really interesting and like really deep too, because of like the different factions and how they're both like so devoted to basically the same path, but they accomplish that path, or they walk that path in different ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Micah looked lost.
I am. Yeah, it's interesting to see the different subsects. Yeah, I love the moment in the last season where Bo's like, oh wait, you're one of those Mandalorians, right? He's part of this weird cult. It's like, oh yeah, I guess we have seen Mandalorians without their helmets on before this,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it kind of calls into question like his faith, I guess, So yeah, I think that'll be definitely a big part of the season, is like redefining what does it mean to be a Mandalorian.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting too, because I felt like they were kind of finding common ground with each other, but
Bo and Din Djarin?
Yeah, exactly. But we clearly see like they really do like disagree on stuff still.
Yeah. That's the watch for you, man.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see by the end of the season. I think Din Djarin will have made up his mind which way he wants to go as a Mandalorian. If he wants to be part of the Armorers, kind of more culty, never take your helmet off sort of side of things, or if he'll go more like Bo-Katan's way, or if he'll just kind of, become his own, version of a Mandalorian,
Mm-hmm.
kind of, deciding how he wants to practice his faith, I guess.
Well, me and Jake talked a little bit about this last weekend too. Is I think we both feel like he'll most likely, be taking off his helmet more this season. Just because I think in the story he's kind of there's a part of him that's like curious, and like leaning towards doing that, but also Pedro Pascal, like he wants to show his face more,
and we want to see his face. Let's be real.
Face of his. I don't get it enough on Sunday nights with The Last of Us. I need to see it on Tuesday nights.
We need more Pedro.
Yeah.
Well, Jake, I guess you still have like more crazy thoughts to spew, so
I just have theories. I know exactly where the series is going, and if you guys want me to spoil it for you, I will spoil it right now.
No.
No, I don't know. I'm just off intuition, and what a story would be that I would write for this, I can tell you.
Okay, well, let me ask you this one question before you get into that, and then we'll try to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes or so. Do you guys think that the armor is like a main villain in this story?
I since the end of last season, I was like, I bet she's gonna turn on him.
What like kind of made you feel like that, Micah?
Well, I was catching up in like season 7 of the Clone Wars. My friends happened to be watching it while I was over. I was like, why do those Mandalorians have horns? They're like, oh, well, and they told me about the Death Watch and all that stuff. And I was like, wait, the armor, she has horns. Wait a second, is there a connection? Darth Maul was a bad guy.
Not the best guy,
Not the greatest. I don't know.
I wouldn't say bad, but he's trying to,
He had issues he was working through. So I wouldn't be surprised if she turned out to be the antagonist. It would be interesting to see how that plays out, though. Jessica is, does she turn on Din Djarin because he's left the faith, he's an apostate, or if it somehow like comes to light her history, maybe she wasn't who she claims to be now. The Watch, as you were kind of talking about earlier, is more like altruistic, whereas the Watch was more Machiavellian, let's say. I don't know.
Big words for this podcast.
It might call on
down now, Micah.
Nice.
Sorry. I don't know. It might.
No, I think our ratings are going to go up.
They use big words. 5 stars. It'd be cool to see, but I don't know. This whole first episode it's the first episode of a season. It's just setting up threads to pull on later.
Oh yeah, I think that'll be really interesting because he obviously has an attachment to the armor because he associates her and the group as like his saviors, basically, because they did save him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then if something like, I guess, like shakes his trust in them, that'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah, the title of this first episode is very telling of what they're going to do for the rest of the series, for sure.
Okay, Jake, let us know your theories.
All right, I'll spill the beans. So I thought it was very interesting that we saw a couple of different clans coming together at the beginning of this episode for that whole ceremony, which means that some of them still are like joined together. I think that I'm just gonna try to say it in like 2 seconds here, since we've been on here for almost an hour. I think there's going to be strife between Bo and Dinjarin. I think that it's going to happen in the series where Dinjarin goes and he's trying to reclaim his I don't know how to say it, like connection to the Watch. And in this process, he's going to find out, like, he's always been someone that doesn't want the throne, which is always the perfect person for the throne. If you've seen the movie Dune, the guy's son is like, I don't want to be the king of any people. And he's like, that's what makes you like the best person for the job. So he's going to go out. He doesn't want to be like the ruler and have complete control like the Watch has, where they're so traditional, so like hard-headed in their ways. Bo's gonna come after him. He's gonna kind of start to realize that he should be a Mandalorian for the Mandalore people, and instead Bo's gonna join him, and the armor is going to be his main rival. That's going to be the most inclusive, or the most like exclusive club of Mandos, and he's going to realize that that's not the path that Mandalorians need to take. He's going to realize that he needs to fight against this and be a king for the people. Basically, this is like a coming of a king story, and he's going to unite the rest of the clans of Mandalore. And bringing it back to what I said, like where you saw those flags, all those people that were at that ceremony are going to start to realize the best thing that they can do for their people is not fight each other. And to have the one person with the dark saber that finally, because we saw him before have struggles, Dom said that's very interesting theory to me the other night when I was talking to him about how the only reason why he hasn't been able to control the dark saber is because he's not at one with himself. And so he's going to have to find this inner peace with himself where was from extremists, but understands that there's other people out there in the world, and that he has a little bit of leeway with some rules, and he's going to find out that he can manipulate himself to work the darksaber out well enough for himself to be able to control it. And once he has that control over himself, he's going to have control of the darksaber, and that's what's going to unite his people. It's not such a strict, stringent rules that old traditional Mandalorians have, but one that's going to be able to take all different groups of Mandalorians and put them together and be able to like reunite all the clans. So Bo's going to be okay. She's going to mess him up. He's going to mess her up. She's going to realize that this is like the best alternate choice, even though she doesn't believe it now and was kind of all pity party. Oh, you go lead him. I don't care. Whatever. Like, no, she's going to finally eventually realize this when he's like, listen, I just want to do what's best for our people. They're going to join. He's going to have to go against the armor. Bo's going to be on his side, and it's going to make all the other people in the armor's faction, which is a couple of different groups, which we saw from the beginning of this first episode, be like, hold on, wait a second. Like, maybe we need that rather than old tradition. And I think that's going to be kind of this coming of age of king story that we have yet to see. Grogu's going to be his basically like little Jiminy Cricket on his side, kind of helping him out through all this. But
dude, I wish I had like an air horn right now. That was like a really solid. I wish we had the sound bite. That was a solid spiel.
Wait,
it was kind of all over the place.
You have it, Micah?
maybe. Hold on. Where's my mic? Which mic am I using? Yeah, there we go.
Dude, honestly, I think you just gave a really solid spiel there.
That was a whole season's worth.
That was. Well, because
Right
dude,
there.
he's been such a father to this Jedi who's not part of. He hated Mandalore, right? Jedis killed Mandalorians, and so he's already learned to hate the opposite side. Like he's learned to love the opposite side that hated him, right? So he's a father to what really destroyed Mandalore, and so he's already figured out kind of. I know I can join these two together if I show love enough and get them in the same spot. Like, if
And
we
he's
both
learned to love a droid.
and he's learned to love a droid, just like you said. So he's already kind of outside of that like extremist religion enough to be just enough to get these people together. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But that's just how I'm feeling. Let me
No,
know if
I
you
think
guys.
that's a really, really good take. I think there's probably a lot of truth to that. Honestly, I had like a little premonition, if you will,
Okay.
as you were saying this, what I think might happen. Yeah, as you were saying all this, what I think might happen now is if it goes that way, how you were saying, which I think it just might. Um, do you think Bo-Katan sacrifices herself for Din Djarin and gets killed by the armor?
Yeah, she's done. She's
I
dead.
kind of do. I kind of do. I could kind of see
Yeah.
that.
100%.
Yeah.
Like they ultimately decide that they are the same, her and Din, and she gets killed by the armor.
Yep. Listen, that's I'm not trying to spoil too much, Dom.
Well,
Stop telling the people. But yes, yeah, Bo's not making it out of this season. Unfortunately, she's a good character, but she's not. We got to kill one of them.
Let's just be clear. You don't know any spoilers of like the end of the season.
Listen, I have relations with the guy that's been writing all these episodes. Okay, so I'm not gonna say nothing.
Okay. Yeah, he knows Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni personally.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, dude.
Yeah, the drinking
100%.
buds.
All right.
I've been
Well,
keeping it a secret all these years, man. You know, I can't tell everybody that I know what's gonna happen in Marvel and in Star Wars. Okay, I gotta, you know.
all right. We should wrap this up, guys. It's been really good. We should wrap things up here. Any final thoughts, Micah, on this episode, and what would you give it out of 10, like rating out of 10?
Oh man. I don't know, man. It's the first episode of a season. I felt
Go
like
low.
nothing really happened, so I'll give it like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 just because, yeah, there was a lot of repetition. I was like, okay. But I'm excited. I am excited.
Yeah, I'd probably give it like a 7. Jake?
I would give it a 6 maximum.
Oof, cold.
I'm
Yeah.
cold-blooded. I'm just waiting for all the people to die.
It
I
seems
know
like,
so many
it
people are
seems
gonna
like we
die.
all enjoyed it, but it definitely was a slow burn, and I do feel like they probably wanted to repeat some stuff just in case some people didn't watch those 2 episodes in Book of Boba. So I feel like we will definitely get a lot more out of episode 2, and I hear episode 2 is like really, really good, by the way.
I can't say anything. I know the writers, so.
All right. Well, thanks so much, guys, for being on the show tonight. Especially Micah. Thanks for being our special guest today. It was good having you on.
Yeah, it was fun.
And you're welcome back on the show anytime. So yeah, and thanks everyone for tuning in, whether it's here live or on the replay again. Let us know how you enjoyed this episode in the comment section below, and don't forget to follow us, like and subscribe. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and yeah, we will be back next Wednesday again at 6 p.m. Pacific ish. We were a little bit late starting our episode today, but yeah, it was Jake's fault. It was
Sorry. That's not bad.
But yeah, 6 p.m. Pacific. We'll be back for Mandalorian season 3, episode 2 review. All right, guys. Thanks so much, and we will catch you guys later.